Guys, we're going to talk about the rise of the UAE as a crypto hub. I know we only have a couple of minutes, but I promise you we're going to make it insightful, interesting, and exciting because we have the Dream Team panel today. Andrew introduced them, so I'm not going to go over them, but really Faisal Hammadi, of course, the managing partner of Further. One thing about Faisal you may not know, he just had his third kid. He has the kids 7, 4, and 3 months. So congratulations and thanks for being with us this week as well. Matthew White, the CEO of Vara. One thing about Matthew you may not know, this is what I love crypto. When he studied at university, he's a rocket scientist. I'm not kidding you. He was becoming a space engineer. So all the paths lead to crypto. Matt, great to have you with us. And Rifad, of course, the CEO of KX Middle East, who's, by the way, when he's not involved in crypto, he's a massive movie fan. What's your favorite movie?
Departed.
Departed. Here we go. A good one on that side. Well, let's jump right in, guys. I want to cover. I know many people in the audience are from out of town. They're probably wondering why Dubai, why crypto. As Andrew mentioned, we set up our hedge fund here. We're the first crypto hedge fund to get a license here. I want to start with you, Rifad, from your perspective for our audience on a business side, and then I want to move to Matt to give the perspective of the regulator. From a business perspective, why Dubai, and why should people in the room even consider the UAE as a hub to set up their crypto business?
Thank you. That is one of the easier questions to ask because it's something that we see every day. When you look at any market, and we're going to take the UAE as an example, you're looking at size, regulatory clarity, ecosystem, and talent. Size, we know it's here. We know the market has a potential, and it's a great market to be in. If you're in crypto, this is a place where the biggest traders are, the market makers are here, so it makes complete sense. Regulatory clarity, I'll let Matt maybe talk about it more, but it's one of the best places in the world where other markets have yet to figure out how to regulate crypto. The UAE went ahead and regulated crypto in the most innovative fashion and kept up with the innovation. So, and credit to the team and Advara and Matt and the rest of the regulatory regimes here. They didn't just stop with the first iteration of regulation. They kept up with the industry and continue to innovate and also keep up with the regulations as we go along, which is very important in a very fast-moving industry. Third, talent. I've been in this space for 5 years. I can tell you 5 years ago, finding talent in the crypto space was difficult here. Today, you're finding not only talent, you're finding experienced talent that operated in regulated platforms, custodians, insurance providers. So it's much better, and your access to talent is global. You're not limited to local talent as well. And the last piece, which brings it all together, is this. Now we're living in an ecosystem. Your office is next to my office. Faisal has his own ecosystem in between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. But really, everyone is an hour away. The key people in this industry to meet, your key providers, infrastructure providers, partners, are all within an hour away. And this is the impressive result of all of that.
So I always give the example as my hedge fund, I'm 1 minute walk away from all your major counterparties, which is absolutely incredible. This is what I used to have back in the day in Mayfair in London or, Midtown in New York. So Matt, I want to move it to you from a regulatory perspective. First of all, thanks for being on stage. I think in many jurisdictions, the regulators don't want to come on stage unless it's scripted and, they're going to read a text. So I really appreciate you came here today with us to share with our audience. Can you maybe share with the audience, first, what is Vara's approach to crypto regulations and what they should know about how you guys are looking at regulating the space?
Sure. Look, first of all, I just wanted to welcome everyone here to Dubai on behalf of Vara. I mean, the energy here is wow. It's amazing. And thank you for the introduction. I think rocket scientist is a slight exaggeration, but I'll go with it. It's good for me. I'll probably use that going forward. I think.
To the moon, as we say.
To the moon, yeah. So it's probably take a bit of a step back where Vara is concerned. Vara is really just part of a much bigger vision that Dubai has, which we call the D33 vision, which is all about doubling the size of Dubai's economy by 2033. And one of the key pillars of that is new economies, and one of those new economies was virtual assets. And right at the beginning, the leadership had the vision to see that the virtual asset sector globally was a huge opportunity. It was a fast growing space, very innovative. I think Rifad's mentioned some of that already in terms of the kind of amount of talent that's in that space. And one of the things that was required was clarity and certainty around their operations and what they were allowed to do and what they weren't allowed to do. And so Vara was set up for that reason, to act as a catalyst, I suppose, for enabling Dubai to be a virtual asset hub, and giving a home to all of these entities that that want that clarity, they want that certainty, they want their investors to know that they've got that. So that's the backstory to VARA and why it was set up. And we set out to regulate in a, we have a very simple but quite bold vision, which was to not follow innovation, but to sort of be infused by it, or use innovation to actually shape the regulation that we put in place. And that's essentially what we set out to do. So we have a few fundamental parts to the regulatory framework. I'm not going to run through all of it, but one is that it's principles based. So there is an amount of nuance that can be applied to different business models depending on how it works. We felt that was really important because of the fast moving nature of the industry, the sort of speed of innovation and the speed of change. And so principles based was really important for us. We chose to be product agnostic and technology agnostic. Again, really important. We didn't want to get bogged down with, is this particular token an NFT? Is it a utility token? Is it something else? And we chose to be activity based as a result. So what that means is we have the broadest possible scope of regulatory perimeter. There's nothing that doesn't fall within that. But we regulate on an activity base rather than a product base. So if an entity comes to us and says, hey, we want to do X, Y, and Z, the first thing that we discuss is, well, what activities are you doing? Are you an exchange of some description? Are you a broker? Are you an asset manager? Do you want to issue tokens? And so that activity-based piece is a really important component of our framework. But perhaps the most important piece is the approach that we took with the industry to go about designing that. And it was very much a partnership approach. So we set out to really understand what was going on in the industry and learn about the types of risks that existed in order to design the framework. So our entities, I think, feel like they've got a voice. They feel like they can contribute to shaping the regulations, and that's really been how we've kind of built these from the ground up to be as tailored as possible to the industry. And it also enables us to move as quickly as possible. I don't think we'll ever get to the point where we're ahead of the industry, but we'll be as close as possible to the industry in terms of our regulation, our framework, what we allow, what we don't, what the risks are, etc.
I love the fact it's principle based and activity based. And I mean, I guess that's one of the reasons you have a lot of the large companies now in crypto are all basically based here, which is quite impressive on that side. And maybe, Faisal, I'll move it to you because it'd be interesting if you can give it to our audience. I mean, many people no doubt, we think all the big names in crypto, they're all set up now here, right? And more, there's a couple hundred companies literally waiting in line now for Vara. From your perspective, can you share maybe from your perspective, what is also some of the other key projects that are happening in the country that people may not be aware, also from Abu Dhabi perspective as well, I think, to give them the full picture of the scene as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we spoke about some of the key companies that chose to be here, some of the key opinion leaders who are based in the UAE, and why they're here. Let's also spend some time talking about bottom up, what's being built here in the UAE within the space. One key project that was launched about 3 years ago was a large-scale Bitcoin mining company called Zero2. So the UAE has about 500 megawatts of Bitcoin mining. It's probably the largest here in the region. We have a partnership with a company called Marathon Digital, which is a publicly listed company among top 5 miners globally, who actively have shares in this JV and are part of building that business. So I think that's a good example of a company that came up kind of bottom up. Second area that's worth mentioning is in the space of stablecoins. A lot of countries globally are looking to regulate stablecoins. DOE, the central bank, was among the first countries in the world to come up with an onshore stablecoin regime, which led to some of the banks, DOE, to start to adopt their technologies, their partnerships to launch their own stablecoins. We're seeing a lot of activities in that space, and I think within token next year we're gonna see one live, a dirham stablecoin that could be used for use cases like cross-border payments or domestic payments. And I think the reason why that could work very well here is because the state-owned companies own a lot of assets that could provide the volumes of transactions, not in the UAE, but also in the neighboring countries in the world. If you own, for example, ports between the UAE and countries in Africa and Asia, you could channel a lot of that flow towards the dirham stablecoin.
Yeah.
And we see also a lot of commodity traders wanting to move to stable flows.
Yeah. So I think actually for stable coins, we'll probably see all the banks here as well have stable coins by the end of by the end of the year. One thing actually, which I think quite interesting as well, it's really the breadth of activities. Many countries, maybe you can get your exchange regulator, asset manager here. Literally, with your issuing tokens, you're doing DeFi. There's always the regulatory, the principal base is quite useful from that side. So obviously, we have all the big players here, a lot of things. I want to talk practically about some of the challenges as well, to be very objective, because UAE is great. Yeah, there's a lot of traffic, but there's also practical challenges in actually like anywhere else. From your perspective, as somebody runs a business here, what are some of the challenges you're seeing, Rifad?
I'll classify both as a challenge and an opportunity.
Yeah.
I think it's being addressed at the moment, but probably could be addressed faster, which is we'd like to see innovation coming in this sector from the UAE. I think the first phase was a lot of global platforms like ours moved here, established, which is great. But your third-party vendors or partners are global or non-UAE companies. I think the startup scene in this industry is starting to flourish. And a lot of the good work, like what Faisal is doing and his team, is to start investing in founders in this ecosystem that can become successful companies in the crypto space.
Yeah.
So you should, like, your compliance provider should be a local company based out of here. Your trading solutions could be a company that comes out of here. And I'm not only saying like about people issuing tokens, more about the infrastructure that supports this industry. There's a lot of opportunity that can come out of here, and they can address a global market out of here.
Yeah.
So we see this. Insurance is another space. Custody is another space. It's great. We have the world's leading custodians, but you still can develop innovative wallet solutions, custody solutions as a founder from the UAE, because the formula is here. And I think everything that you need is here. The investors are here, the regulators are here, the major partners are here.
Of course, yeah.
So it's more about just encouraging more founders to set up in this space. Again, a lot of people are excited about, obviously, tokens and assets, but there's so much more behind the scenes of what we do, what you do, and what Faisal does to build and run this industry. And I think more founders in that space is a good challenge. Is a good challenge to try to address.
Yeah.
The other challenge is, to be frank, and everyone comes in and says, look, banking. I don't think banking is a challenge. I think it's a topic of the past. Yes, if you asked me 4 years, 5 years ago, I'd say banking is a challenge. But actually, and I'll say this proudly, through our regulatory license with BARA, we've managed to get the best banking solutions out there.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's a challenge. It's, I think, how to figure out how to go around banking. Yes, there could be more, I think, players providing in this space.
Yeah.
But I don't consider it the top challenge. For me, innovation and investment in this space is probably the next biggest opportunity, because we see it happening in other places around the world.
It's interesting on the banking side. I mean, a lot of firms, and they're like, oh, we're not able to get a bank account. But I'm like, yeah, but you're running the business in a very crappy way. But if you get a license, you do the proper things, it gets easier on that side as well. But Faisal, I just with you on the specific point to mention, because I know you guys are doing quite interesting things on investing, and also you can share about the broader M&A activity and fundraising activity we're seeing in the region, to specifically to Rifad's point of how that's being developed as well.
So given that a lot of the key decision makers are based here, spend a lot of time here, naturally this has become a hotbed for deal making. We know that some of the biggest transactions in crypto are being discussed or closed here. Even this week, some of the biggest deals are live, being negotiated. Last week, we have announced that Zodia has acquired one of our portfolio companies called Tungsten. And I think that's a great example of how a global player, backed by a global bank,
Yep.
has acquired a company that's been built in the UAE.
Yep.
And we think there'll be a lot more transactions coming to market. We think that the UAE is well positioned to get their people here to find scenarios where there's a win-win scenario with partnerships. And I think we'll see a lot more announcements coming in the coming years.
Interesting. Matt, I want to move it to you. So obviously, I think objectively speaking, now VARA is the regulator with the most crypto expertise globally, hands down. Of course, the fact that you guys are specialized on this helps quite a bit. How do you see now globally? Let's say firms come in, like let's say 5 years down the line. Do you believe we'll start seeing some passporting or harmonization where like firms that are operating here can actually start operating globally, and other regulators will start recognizing each other in
Yeah.
a crypto perspective?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think look, so a lot of the conversations that we're starting to see now are really exciting around this. I think we've got to this inflection point globally where most jurisdictions have recognised that they need to provide some sort of clarity and regulation around these types of businesses and what they can and can't do, and really that final nail in the coffin, if you like, was the sort of US position on that's come about recently. So I'll answer your question in two parts. There's a local element to that, and there's a global element to that. So obviously locally, it's really important for the UAE to have clarity on its entities. Dubai regulates those entities in VARA regulates those entities in Dubai, but the Securities and Commodities Authority looks at the rest of the UAE. So one of the things that we did, or we worked really hard on to start with, is to make sure that clarity existed between the two. So what we did there was to sign an MOU with ESCA, which was completed fairly recently, which allows the certainty that an entity that is licensed by VARA in Dubai can service UAE clients. Right, there's no ambiguity around that now. That's really clear.
It's great.
And it was a really important sort of starting point for that. But in answer to your question about kind of passporting globally, I think we have to get there. We have to have these similar models that exist globally. So one of the things that we're doing at the moment is really just trying to reach out to global regulators to have those initial discussions. We're of the mindset that we will share whatever information that we can to help other regulators understand the risks first of all, and for them to set up their own regimes. What that will then allow us to do is to establish a number of kind of key bilateral relationships that we'll have in place, and eventually we'll get to the point, I think, where we'll have harmonization. Harmonization first, then maybe passporting coming up.
Of course, yeah.
But it's not just VARA driving this; the other regulators are driving this as well. So I'm quite excited about the conversations that we're having. I do think we'll get there. It's a matter of time. I think the catalysts are there to make that happen.
How you guys seen in the crypto regulator circle? Do they see you as this crypto regulator, the weird one that is there just focusing on it, or like they taking your meetings? I presume.
I think you'd have to ask them what they think. We are, we're really proud of what we do. We're really proud of the expertise that we've built. We've got a fantastic team. I think we've got some of the best talent,
Of course,
that exists in that space. We just want to be able to share that with the other regulators at the moment. They are receptive, absolutely. I think that's important. They are reaching out. They're receptive to us, and we'll share whatever we can. We'll help them to the extent we can, and hopefully we'll get to some sort of harmonization.
If there's a one message to a lot of the VASPs in the room, and one thing you wish they would do that they're not doing now, when they're coming to VARA, when they're coming to Dubai, whether it's their applications or approach, like what's the one thing you wish people would do that they're not doing now?
There's two, actually. I think one is to just know that VARA is an engaging regulator. So, we want to hear from you. We want feedback.
Yeah.
That isn't always, good feedback. We do get very good feedback, but, I'm quite willing to listen to all types of feedback. The second, and we're getting into the nitty gritty of it, but you brought it up, so I'll mention it, is take time on your application.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest challenge. I think at the moment is that there's a significant variation in quality of applications that we see.
Yeah.
And that is normally what slows the process down.
Yeah.
So quality is really, really important. We're not compromising on that. So please make sure that is up to standard.
It's a very diplomatic way, but I can tell you as somebody who's not the regulator, if you think you're going to come to Dubai or the UAE and this is a easy Diet Coke thing, you're going to come and set up a business, honestly, we don't want you here. Go back, right? But if you want to come set up proper businesses, be regulated, be institutional, build proper businesses and build a finance to the future, we're interested. And this is how we're building the ecosystem, right? That's how. By the way, for maybe as a guide, because I know I'm getting asked this question 10 times a day now. I just put on my LinkedIn this morning a guide of crypto licensing in the UAE, VARA versus ADGM. So you have this information. Because I know everybody's asking that question is being here as well. So, but again, I think that's an important message of people doing it properly. This is not like a place you come and you set up and nobody asks questions, right? Like, unfortunately, there used to be often the perspective people had. Actually, that's a good point on misconception. Yeah, I'll ask for you, Faisal, and to you as well. Like, what is the biggest misconception you think people have, especially in crypto, about the UAE? And I'm bringing it to you after, Faisal, the same question.
Maybe just not the UAE in general. I think it's a broader misconception that TradFi businesses do not want to get into crypto. I think that's changing dramatically in a very fast-paced way. Firms that have, I think this venue hosts another event in a couple of weeks at Dubai Financial Market Events. And a lot of the discussions there are happening about how do we enter crypto as a normal TradFi business, as a normal family office. We want to allocate some of our balance sheet to put it on digital assets. So that I wouldn't say was not happening 5 years ago, but it's now happening, and people are looking to exchanges and asking the right questions. Not just how do I onboard? What's your custody like? What are your trading platforms like? What is your on-chain analysis? What's your transaction monitoring? They're looking at these things from the outside, and so let me put it this way: the misconception that TradFi does not understand crypto. They do understand crypto, and they're trying to understand it more. And it's up to us to explain and showcase that this is actually, in my opinion, a better, more technologically savvy industry than the current TradFi system. So the bridge between the two is needed and has to come, and it's actually coming. We're working with partners, for example, to provide custody with Standard Chartered. That gives a business on the side more confidence to say, look, these guys are offering me solutions around custody, not just the normal custody solution. Because think of it this way: you're a TradFi business, you have your own internal audit teams, you have your own risk teams, you have your compliance teams. They're asking their business teams these questions, but now we can answer them, and we can answer them and say, look, we're regulated, we offer you the right products, the right solutions, and some transparency. So I think that misconception that there is a lot of people on the side, I think that's wrong. I think people are watching and figuring out when to enter in the right moment.
In many countries, you're in the UK, it's good. There's not much pressure here. I mean, regulators are way more knowledgeable than you on crypto, right? So as a financial institution, you have to be on top of it. Faisal, from your perspective, really on the misconception, I mean, you've seen many companies come here, pitch money, set up. What's the biggest misconception you think they have about our country?
So I would like to double down on what you both said, where people think, this is a good place for short term, and not kind of thinking long term. But also, people don't understand at what pace are banks looking to evolve and adapt. And I think it's not only that, but also looking at the amount of investment firms, hedge funds, and crypto or not, who chose to be in Dubai or the UAE, which means that the demand side is also here. So if you have the right regulations, if you have the right participants in terms of demand, and the right capabilities from companies like OKX, then you have the full ingredients for success. So it's not just the retail the demand. It's not just the speculation.
Yeah,
It's actually real demand by real solutions that are being built here. And I encourage people to reach out to these players, because some of them call Dubai and the UAE their home, to learn more about what they're doing.
And what you wish they would do more that they're not doing now? If there's one piece of advice for these firms coming to the UAE.
Spend another week. So I know this week is intense. This week is so intense with activities where it's difficult to absorb and adapt. I remember by Tuesday night, I thought it was Thursday already. I was like, no, there's still another 3 days to go for the week. So I think for people who do stay a bit longer to basically be able to absorb what they've learned and be able to engage with other players, we're always here to support and engage.
Yeah. Matt, I want to move to you. Obviously, as VARA, I'm convinced other regulators now around the world or other jurisdictions are looking at the VARA model, saying, is this something we should explore as well? From your perspective, what was the most difficult thing when setting up a crypto regulator? Like, what is the biggest challenge as CEO of VARA you find on the daily?
Oh, that's an easy question. Talent.
Talent, really?
It was really hard to find the right people to do this. You think about what you really need to be able to understand the technology to start with. Actually, I remember I can't remember where it came from, but there was a quote that someone said to understand Bitcoin you need degrees in technology, politics, philosophy, and economics or whatever.
Yep.
And I don't think that's too far from the truth. And so we've had to assemble a team that has technology experience, regulation experience, financial crime experience, traditional finance experience, and it's really hard and it takes time. In some cases, we've had to we've resorted to actually training people now, where we're looking at things like licensing and supervision. If we're bringing people in, we're training them from a young place because those people don't exist in the market at the moment. So talent is definitely the hardest piece.
Is it a problem you guys seeing that as well as an exchange, or is it easy for people to move here from
It switched. 4 years ago, I'd say 100% there was an issue.
talent? Yeah.
Talent. Because also it's a new industry and people starting to get experience. Today, it's quite the opposite. Even internally at our OKX, people want to move to the UAE. They're voluntarily saying, I want to move to the UAE. Before, our talent pool was what we can find in the market. But the people, the team that we have today is most of that comes in from other regulated platforms, other regulated exchange, other regulated markets. So they're bringing in that expertise, and it's drastically improved. And there is a lot of work that's being done to encourage talent to move here. The UAE is a very welcoming space for anyone. So I think that's not the issue, just issue finding enough demand to hire that talent. And I want to credit like yourself as well. You do a lot of advocacy on behalf of the ecosystem here that sends out this image for talent from abroad, that this is the place to move in and actually start working in crypto. So that's why I echo my first point. It's not only talent, but also founders and startups to start coming here and develop this ecosystem further. So it's not a challenge as it used to be. It's a much better place, and it's continuously growing into a bigger talent pool.
Yeah, and I think now UAE has become an interesting place. People want to move here, right?
Yep.
I don't know what's everything else has brought people now. People want to move here. That's become easier from that perspective as well. Is that problem you're seeing as well, Faisal, with your company as well? Is talent also a challenge with some of the companies you're involved in?
I think we've been fortunate that has not been a challenge so far. I think it got much easier over time. We have people who moved from the US, UK, Asia to the UAE. And I would say that it's been pretty okay. I don't see it as a big challenge.
Good. No, I think it's improved quite a bit. I still believe, and I repeat this every time, I think it's one of the best places in the world as an entrepreneur to run a crypto business where you have the ecosystem, you have the infrastructure, time zone wise, you have a regulator that at least wants to talk to you, wants to listen to you, takes feedback. I moderate many regulators over the years, and rarely they want to come on stage like this and they're happy to be asked anything. They want to be scripted. I mean, kudos to Vara on that point, and ADGM does similar stuff. But really, kudos on that side as well, Matt. Guys, we have a couple minutes left. I just want to go. My best friend, DeBell, is here with me, so I'm gonna ask you guys quick questions. I need 1 or 2 word answers, and we're gonna go and roll. You guys are ready?
Let's do it.
Even if you're not ready, I'm still gonna do it. So might as well. Sorry, I'm gonna start slow, so don't worry. We're in the UAE. What's your favorite thing about the UAE? We should start from you. Favorite thing.
That's the toughest question. A lot of favorite things. People.
People. Wow. Matt.
Vibe.
Vibe. Here we go. My God.
The beach.
The beach, of course. Well, that's where I'll be on Sunday. I guarantee you that. But I'm gonna start for you. If there's one thing you would like to see improved in the UAE, what would it be?
Traffic.
Traffic. Yeah.
Easy one, right?
This week though is particularly bad, I have to say, around the venue just because of the number of people coming here.
Yeah, I'd have said traffic.
Traffic as well.
Yeah.
Don't even ask. Same.
Same. But there's a plan. To be fair, there's actually a plan.
a lot of work being
The
done,
plans here are done pretty quickly, which is good. If you're not in crypto, what's the one industry you would want to be in, Rishad?
Filmmaking.
Filming.
Yeah.
What kind of movies do you want to make?
Let me think about that.
Okay. I got a different way. Man,
Well, I have to say engineering now, don't I? You've classified me as a rocket scientist, so
but you did study. You did study
I studied aerospace engineering.
space engineering. It's not gonna be wrong. Faisal.
I'd say healthcare. That's where I started. I'm thinking about health management and human health and technology and data. That world fascinates me.
If there's one thing you would like to see the community in crypto do more, what's the one thing you would like to see our community in crypto do more, Faisal?
Maybe do less, party less.
Party less. Wise words for TOKEN2049 side events. Matt,
More of these.
more events.
Innovate.
Innovate. Here we go. It's an interesting one. Donald Trump gives you a call and puts you on his crypto advisory committee. What's the one thing you tell him?
So you're starting with me?
Yeah.
I'll
He's never going to sit next to me anymore panel that is done.
I'm happy where I am.
You're what? You happy where I am? Matt, this is a tricky one.
talk to Vara.
Talk to Vara. Man, I would love to be in that room of meeting Faisal.
Smile and nod.
Hey guys, to finish it off, my last question. Anybody comes on my show, my traditional question. Faisal, I'm gonna start from you. If you could have lunch or dinner with one person dead or alive, lunch or dinner with one person dead or alive, who would you have lunch or dinner with?
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. Here we go. Matt.
I'm going to go with Einstein today.
Albert Einstein. Here you go. See, the rocket science element comes back. And to finish it off, after Token 2049, the panel of the rise of UAE as a crypto hub, who do you have lunch or dinner with?
I mean, Michael Schumacher.
Michael Schumacher. Wow.
Okay.
My God.
Yeah.
Talk about an F1 team with OKX. Here we go. We'll plug that in as well. Here we go, guys. Thank you very much. That was the panel. Thank you very much. Have a great day.